Aloha, guys, and welcome back to Degree Free. We are your hosts, Ryan and Hannah Maruyama. On this podcast, we share fundamentals we've discovered and the mistakes we've made while self-educating, getting work, building businesses, and making money. We'll tell you how to make it happen. No degree needed.
Welcome back, everybody, to Degree Free. Happy to have you here. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us a review if you're enjoying the podcast. If you want to take action on something you heard in a previous episode or this episode after you've heard it, please do head to our website, which is degreefreenetwork.com. We have a guide where we have put all of this information together in a very convenient, downloadable PDF that you can grab on our website. On there, you can also sign up for our email list, which is really great, and we are sending out 1 to 2 emails a week that are just really full of awesome information that you do not want to miss. All right, let's get into today's episode. So today's topic, we are going to be talking about how to job search without a college degree. This is a question, it seems super simple, and it is, but it's a question that we get asked a lot. People just don't even know where to start. It's pretty amazing to me the amount of so we're pretty big on TikTok, and we've got about 30,000 followers on TikTok now, which is really crazy. But on there, I would say that the most common question that I get asked is how to find jobs. And usually the people asking are college graduates, which is baffling to me that no one has taught them how to look for jobs. Like they don't even know how to use Google to find what I'm talking about, which is real crazy. They've been just let loose on the world with no idea how to track down opportunities for themselves. And so that's why we wrote this episode, actually, because this is something that's key. If you can find things, you can apply for things, but it's the finding things that you have to figure out how to do that and how to look for them in a more, I would say, a more tailored way, so that you can find things that fit you and find things that maybe other people haven't found, so that you can increase your chances of getting the opportunities you want, because not so many people were able to find them. Yeah. Well, that makes sense about the people that are graduating from college not learning how to search for a job. I mean, I graduated from college. I didn't. Well, it's not something that they teach, right? It's not. I wonder about that, though. I have a theory that they don't teach you how to find a job because they don't want you to find a job. They want you to buy a master's degree. And so they don't make money when you leave. They only make money when you stay. So it makes sense they don't really train you how to find a job. I mean, I can see, that is some conspiracy level stuff. No, I don't mean it's like not, though, malicious. I just mean like they're like, don't teach them that. It's not actually that hard to believe because it's capitalism. Right. It makes sense. Like it's against their. I understand exactly what you're saying, and very quickly you could get to that conclusion. It's like Tide teaching people how to make their own laundry detergent. They would never do that, right? They want you to keep buying laundry detergent from them. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Like I hear what you're saying. At least I don't think it's that malicious. I don't think it's nefarious. I just think that's what I just don't think they do it. Yeah, because they don't want to help. They definitely don't do it. Yeah. They like maybe they'll have an extracurricular, like a job fair. Yeah, a job fair, or not even a job fair. A workshop. Workshop. Yeah, like a workshop, where they'll teach you this stuff. But it should be a class. And right, exactly. And everyone should have to take it. Mandatory. Yeah. Because the reason why people were in college are to get employment at the end. And so I don't understand why I had to take, I don't know why I had to take religion 151 or freaking whatever, go up to English 300 or whatever. You know what I mean? Like reading what the Kate Chopin. Yeah. Like what the frick? Like I could have done, I would have taken a semester of just how to do this stuff, how to literally just not be like, how to enable yourself. I'll say in a positive spin. I'll say how to enable yourself into finding jobs, because this stuff isn't difficult. It's super simple actually, and so I think one of the things there's just a progression in which you have to do that it makes sense to start your job search, right? So people without a college degree, for whatever reason, or if they're currently have a college degree and they're thinking about going back, anybody trying to start the job search process, the first thing is, I think, identifying your goal.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to, well, what are you trying to do? It's a simple question, but a lot of people don't have the answer to it. And you need to figure that out. You can't just go out willy-nilly into the world with no goal, because then you'll never know when you reach the goal, and it's a lot less likely you'll get a result if you don't know what you're trying to do, right? Because that goal can move. It's not that the goal has to be completely fixed and you can't move it, but you have to have some idea of what you're trying to do. Otherwise, you're just wandering around doing whatever and never getting any traction, really. And I think that as somebody who's not super goal oriented and had to learn that, once I did, I got much more effective in trying to get things done. Yeah,
because once you have a goal, you have something to shoot for. So I think there are 3. I'm sure there are more, but at least what we've identified, there are 3 like main goals. And that's going to be, you should be thinking about whether or not you're doing this for money. You're looking for a job. So you need to think. So there are 3 main goals. And the 3 goals, it's not exhaustive. It's not a complete list. But these are the things that we think that we've heard the most of. And it's going to be, are you trying to look for a job that pays a lot of money or a certain amount of money? Are you trying to find a job where you'll learn certain skills? And then the next is going to be, are you trying to work in a specific industry? And so the skills in the industry are kind of related.
Similar.
They're similar.
Very similar.
They're similar, but they're different.
Okay, so if you're trying to learn a skill, and this too, I'd really caution people here. I think that a lot of people really get caught up in the my job has to be my passion trap. I do think that people don't. I do think that a lot of us do. I would say that all of us do, because in school they teach us to get a job that we're passionate about. The thing about that is a lot of jobs are not, you don't need to be passionate about them. They just need to be done. And while that's an unglamorous and not fun view of the world, it's also a realistic one. And so for people that want to find a job that is their passion, you're going to have a completely different goal from somebody who's trying to make as much income as possible so that they can pay to achieve a passion. These are different things. I would caution people who think that their job is going to be their passion to make sure that that's true before they pursue that. Because if they do, and you're pursuing a skill that doesn't pay well, you may very well box yourself in, financially speaking. And so, if you want to be a potter, that's a good example. Somebody who wants to learn pottery, right? You might be able to find somebody who's willing to pay you $12 an hour to work in their pottery studio. That's probably less than you're going to make on the open market if you're trying to earn a little bit more. And so for those people, you have to be really sure that you want to be a potter and that you are okay with the amount of income you're going to earn by sacrificing the income to learn the skill. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I just think people need to think about it a little bit more than they do nowadays.
I think another point to learning a skill, it's not necessarily, although that is a very large portion of people, that they just want to learn how to become, a potter or some other trade or something like that.
I think this applies to a lot of artisan type things, like very specific skill sets.
But also, too, it could be you've identified that you need to learn a skill in order to get a bigger job, right? And so right now, and this is getting a little bit, we're kind of skipping ahead here, but if you were to identify a job listing that said that you needed to have skills, mechanical skills or something like that, you go, I don't know, I don't know what job would need mechanical skills, but
So like that's a good example. So let's say you want to work at Lockheed Martin, right? You want to work on missiles or rockets or jets or something like that, and you don't have any experience in that field, but you need some mechanical experience to get your foot in the door. Guess what? It's going to be way easier for you to get your foot in the door at a mechanic shop or fixing like, big trucking rigs than it is going to be for you to get your foot in the door at Lockheed Martin with no experience.
right. And then with that, you may, if this is where you want to go, if you want to go to this job, but you need these skills to get there. Yeah. Okay. Then learn the skills, but you might not get paid. You might not get compensated for what it is you want.
You're not going to get Lockheed money while you're at the base mechanic shop trying to learn your skills.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
There's nothing wrong with that. And there's
Not at
also
all.
nothing wrong with those industries either. It's just we're just giving examples here. I think the next thing is going to be like, so people that want to work in specific industries. We see this a lot. Okay, I want to work in the medical field. I want to be an engineer. I want to work in social work. Okay.
This runs the gambit too. It's not a specific industry. It's just being specific to an industry.
Yeah, being specific. Look, I'm a perfect example. Like, I want to be a fireman.
Right.
Well, guess what? Guess what, buddy? You're going to and that's fine. That's great. But you're going to get paid fireman money.
Right.
Like, I mean, do I get to ride around in a fire truck all day?
Yes.
Yeah, I do. Pretty awesome. Lights and sirens. It's fun. Do I get paid very well to do it? Not really. I mean, I'm not.
Average.
Yeah, average.
Reasonable.
Yeah,
Reasonable to average pay.
average pay.
Right.
I'm not retiring anytime soon.
This is where this is a great example. That's a great example because this is a point where people need to really think critically about this before they start down this path. So let's take Ryan's job. You want to be a firefighter. You want to be a firefighter because it's cool, because you help the community, because it's a steady job, because it's been a dream of yours forever. Now let's say you have really big life goals. Like you want to buy, you want to own your own farm, or you want to visit every country in the world, or whatever. It could be anything. It could be smaller, larger goals. Like you want to have a family, whatever. It doesn't really matter. But you have goals that cost more than that salary can pay, right? So while you may feel that job is your passion, because we've been told that our job has to be our passion, you will quickly feel that you've been handcuffed into that industry if you've done that to yourself, and now you cannot afford to do your actual goal. That's why figuring out what you're trying to do is so important, because if your real goal is to be a professional frisbee player and you need money to be in the league and time to attend the games, but you can't because you're a firefighter and you don't have enough money to fly to frisbee competitions wherever they are or whatever, you're going to feel discontent with your job even if you like it, because your job's not actually your passion. Your passion is your passion, and you mix the two up. I think that's a little bit windy, but I do think that's important because a lot of people get those really confused. Mm-hmm. So it's a good thing to point out when you're going through this, like, how are you picking your job? How are you picking your job goal? Like, how are you looking for your job?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things with choosing work by industry is that it will handcuff you. I mean, just de facto. It's going to close every other door, and you're like, okay, I want to be a firefighter.
That's not always bad.
No, it's not bad. That's not bad. But it's going to close. It's going to close all the other doors. Well, okay. So now there's still a bunch of doors open, but there's only so many ways you can go about it. You can be a state firefighter, you can be a city and county firefighter, you can be a federal firefighter, you can be a volunteer firefighter, you can be a Navy, you can be a firefighter in the Army, in the Navy, wherever, in the Marines. I'm not sure.
For an airport?
Yeah, for a state. Yeah, exactly. And so, but you can't be a firefighter for a doctor's office. Like, you can't be a firefighter for, maybe you could be a firefighter for like a chemical engineering plant or something like that. There are private companies that do private firefighting. for like big chemical plants and stuff like that. So that's I think what a lot of people do. I think what a lot of people do is just say, I don't want to tell people to not handcuff themselves, because if you want to work in a certain industry, okay, go work in that industry. What we find happens a lot is that people don't know why they want to work in that industry, or they've never worked in the industry before in their life, right? They're like, oh, I want to be a doctor, but they've only ever been to the doctor. They've never
had to hang out in an ER for 12 hours.
Right. Well, it depends on what kind of doctor you become.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. It's like, right, you want to become an EMT or a paramedic, but you can't see blood. And it's like, I hate to tell you, man, but like this is probably not the
this is a bad career choice for you.
This is probably not the career for you, my friend. So just being honest with yourself. If you are gonna pick industry, why? Is it because you think you're going to make a lot of money in that industry? Is it because a lot of people think they're going to go into STEM and they're going to be like, oh man, I'm going to make hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Here we go. And it's just like, okay, and they go into those fields, usually with a degree, and then unfortunately, a lot of those people are rudely awakened. They're like, whoa, I'm not making $250,000 like I thought,
The STEM field has a very high rate of people who are not working in STEM. And then they also have a high rate of underemployment for people who are working in STEM. And so a lot of people get lulled into a false sense of security because that's such a talking point, right? Like, oh, STEM's great. No, the STEM guys are still making money. Not so much anymore. It's not that some of them don't earn high, and it's not that they're not higher than the average college graduate, but the job outlook in that field is not what people think it is. Right.
They're the supply problem, right? It's Correct. A supply problem. There's
too many of them.
The college has diluted what a college degree is worth. I mean, we talked about this before, but there's too freaking many STEM people. There's only so many STEM jobs. Like, so what? So somebody's gonna have to, do a non-STEM field related thing. You know what I mean? Somebody's gonna have to go be a firefighter. You know what I mean? Somebody's gonna have to go and, I don't know, be a clerk in an office or something like that, right?
And not only that, too. This brings up another point, which is that picking wrong, not like wrong in a moral sense, but wrong as in it doesn't work out for you, is much lower risk if you are degree free and you are just picking a job to earn money. It's much lower risk. So you're going to have a different risk profile than somebody who already has a degree and now they're picking a job. And let's say somebody already has a degree, they have debt, and they're picking to learn, right? So somebody that has a college degree has college debt, they have bills to pay, they have debt they got to pay down. And now they're deciding they want to pick, a lot of people use this as a stereotype, but 80% of college graduates do not have STEM degrees. So they're picking some humanities type job because they want to like learn or whatever, or they're like, oh, this is my passion, but it pays $29,000 a year. And then now they've trapped themselves because not only do they have the debt, but they pick job. They're like, this is my passion. You're going to feel a lot less passionate about your passion when you can't afford your rent.
Yep. They've painted themselves in a corner.
Right. They put walls up around themselves. And like, it's their fault, but they were also told that was okay to do. So it's kind of it's a whole mess.
Yeah. So, and then the last thing, and I think one of the things we hear the most often is going to be the goal of money. Seeing as how money is one of the largest reasons, I mean, generally speaking, generalized, one of the largest, if not mostly the largest reason why we are working is to make money. That's the third goal. I think with this, I think it needs to be said really, really quickly about like, it's okay that is the goal. It's okay that making money is the goal. I think where it gets a lot more difficult with these things, this is just a little side note, is where it gets a little difficult with all of these three things is when you start to, if you're just going to go into a specific industry, okay, you close all the doors. You close doors here. But like I said, I'm going to use firefighting because know that industry, there's like literally probably like 15 ways that you can go about being a fireman or a firewoman, a firefighter. And okay, so you want to learn a skill. Okay, you want to learn how to become a mechanic. Okay, there's probably 10 different ways, probably way more than that.
There's a lot of ways
there's
to become a mechanic.
Way more than that to become a mechanic. You know what I mean? There's like infinite amount of ways to become a mechanic.
Everything needs to be fixed all the time.
Right. And okay, but you've closed the doors to other things because you're trying to learn that skill. And then, okay, money. Now you've closed the doors to lower paying jobs. And so where people find, when people say there are no jobs, when people say there are no jobs that pay well, the problem usually starts at the very beginning. It starts at the goal. It starts with you want to learn these skills in an industry where you make a lot of money. Okay.
What you mean?
Now you've closed every single door except for like 3. And now you have to walk through those doors. And it's like super hard because everybody else is trying to walk through those doors. And you don't have the skills in order to do that.
Yep. What you mean is there are no jobs that pay $160,000 a year with guaranteed holidays and all benefits that you want with a flexible schedule that is in the music industry that is about a specific instrument. That's what you mean. What you mean is the job that you want doesn't exist. And so that's why you're saying there's no jobs. It's because you went about it the opposite way from giving yourself options, in that you gave yourself basically one option. And you said, and then when you got to the point and you realized, oh wait, this isn't an option, now you're upset. And no wonder, because you feel trapped, right? Because you literally put yourself into a box and then close the lid on yourself. You're like, oh, there's nothing in here. Well, yeah, I mean, you made the box and then you climbed into it and then you closed the lid. So that's kind of on you. And a lot of people, I think, I can see how that becomes really scary though, because then you realize that now you have to figure out what to do from there. And then you already took on so much risk and you feel so trapped by the debt and by the fact that you can't find a job that now you're just like, what do I do? What do I do? So a lot of those people are super stressed out.
So I don't think I have to explain about what making a lot of money is about, right? I mean, I think everybody knows what making a lot of money is about. They want to make a lot of money. All right. So those are the 3 goals. You're going to learn something, a specific skill, be in a specific industry, or make a certain amount of money. All right. Now, how do we do that?
All right. So this is where Google Scholar training comes in. And what you're going to do, if you're trying to learn, you're going to look for whatever it is and jobs. It sounds laughably simple, but a lot of people don't. They don't do that. So what you're going to do, again, we're going to use a pottery example. You're going to say pottery studio jobs, your location. Like you can go as granular as the city you're in, or you can go as large as the whole country. If depending on how willing you are to get that job, you could move to it the way people move to get college degrees. But yeah, so if you're looking to become a potter and you need somebody who has a pottery studio to hire you, then look for pottery studio jobs, your state, your city, your county, your country. All right. So if you're trying to get into a specific industry, what you're going to want to do is very similar to that. You're going to look up. So let's say you want to get into oil and gas industry. You're going to look up oil. You could go as granular as like oil field jobs, or you could just say natural gas jobs or oil and gas jobs. And then you're going to search location, because what it's going to do is it's going to show you, 1, what jobs people need done. 2, it's going to show you the type of qualifications that people are looking for people to fill those jobs. And then 3, it also gives you And then 3, it gives you a trajectory of where you could go, because it's going to show you all, for the most part, of those jobs. It's going to show you entry-level jobs. It's going to show you mid-level jobs. It's going to show you high-level jobs, because they're all going to be posted for the most part. And so you can kind of see what's available to you, where you can start, where you can go, and where you can end up. And that'll kind of give you a good full picture of like what you could possibly do going in. Sometimes doing that will help you figure out or find a job that you didn't even realize was there that you may want to aim for. And that's really helpful too. Now, money is probably the easiest one, because the income money one is probably the easiest. So what you can do is you're just going to put in $70K job, your location.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah, well, money's the easiest because it casts the widest net.
Correct.
You're going into the biggest funnel.
Yeah. Because you're just funneling by number.
You're just funneling by number, right?
And,
you're not by industry, not by whatever. Because I mean, if you don't care about the industry, if you don't care about whether or not you have to go into an office, if you don't care about whether or not it's remote, if you don't give a rip about any of that.
Yeah. If you don't mind if it's contract, if you don't mind if it's flexible, if you don't mind if it's temporary, if it's part-time, if it's whatever, you can pretty much find whatever you want.
Right. The whole world opens up to you.
Right.
Right. And then now you're just trying to think, okay, well, what can I do? What of these jobs matches my skill set?
One thing I hear a lot when I say this is people say, well, because I think Google recently removed the salary filter from their job search, which I think is odd, because I feel like that was the most useful tool that they had. I have no idea why they did that, but they removed it. So what I would advise people to is, when you're looking at entry-level jobs, there's no one site that is the authority for pay. I would use multiple sites. So if you're so for me, when I was looking at my Salesforce administrator job, in order to find the average salary, I didn't just rely on one website. I looked at 5 to 6 and I wrote down the range, and then I found basically what was down the middle of all of them. And then from there, you have at least an idea of where you can negotiate or what you can expect. It's not completely reliable, but don't go in with nothing, because that's not a good idea. They're going to lowball you, and then you're going to get paid less than you probably should. So I would definitely advise people, if you're looking by income, make sure that you have done some market research on what the value of that job or skill set is. That'll really help you a lot.
Yeah. So at this point, it's kind of funny, because at this point people are like, what the hell? Like, what are you talking about? Like, you literally just told me to do the most basic thing, like the simplest. Like, you literally what a lot of people say is, they're just like, you literally just told me nothing.
They don't do it though.
And I'm just like, wait a minute.
They've never done it though.
I was like, wait a minute. Have you done this before?
And they never have.
Yeah, like, but you literally told me nothing. Like, you didn't even tell. Like, that's not gonna do. Like, okay.
As an aside, something that really gets me too is when people go, oh my gosh, like when I tell them that they need to apply to multiple jobs, they're like, oh, but I have to fill out the job application. It takes like 10 minutes. I wouldn't hire you.
Yeah, no way.
You can't fill out a 10-minute form. I don't care if you have to do it every day. It takes 10 minutes. What's the matter with you? They whine about the fact that it's not easy apply, which is basically where you click and it autofills all your information. LinkedIn has started to do that a lot. But it's like, people won't apply to jobs because they're not easy apply. If I were hiring mass employees, I would absolutely not put easy apply on, because I don't want people who can't find the time to fill out a 10-minute form that's just their basic information. Mm-hmm. That's crazy to me. Anyway, same thing though in this is people go, oh, it's so simple, or oh, I don't want to do that. Yeah. Well, tough.
So I just wanted to bring that up just before everybody's just like, because we hear it all the time. It's like, this is useless, but it's like, it isn't. It really isn't. It's simple. It's super simple.
You should do it before you go get a college degree. That's for sure.
This is super simple stuff, but it's like, it's almost like we have to re-educate or just completely educate or give permission to do these simple things, right? It's what we're talking about is literally just going to Google, typing in some words, and then figuring it out from there. Testing stuff, trying stuff. So once you've figured out the goals, once you've started doing that, I think the main thing is to basically try to, as I said before, try to cast as large of a net as possible. Don't be hooked on one job at one specific company.
Because then you do the same thing. You're closing doors.
Right. And so, okay, you want to become I'm not sure what, like I said, I'll just use my industry. You want to be a firefighter. Like, all right. Don't just say, oh, I want to be a firefighter for the city and county. You can go into a surrounding county and be a firefighter. You can go into state firefighting, federal firefighting.
Here, you can apply on different islands. They all have their own fire departments.
Right. Whatever. Surrounding counties. And so that goes into, and so this is like, goes into the next thing, which is like picking a few different companies and applying to multiple jobs. You're going to need to apply to multiple jobs here. I mean, if you're lucky and you get hired the first one, great. There's no need to do all the rest. Most people don't. That's not the experience.
This is why your Googling matters too. So you can assess how many jobs are open. If there's a lot, your chances are better, right? If there's just one, there might be more people applying for that one job. But if there's 100 listings for the same job type and you're applying, your odds are going to be much better. And then if you're applying to 2 to 3 different companies and you've done your research, you've gone to their website, you've read about their history, you've looked up who the hiring manager is, you have an idea what they do in your community. And this sounds like major. It's not. Just open a Word document and copy and paste in 2 to 3 sentences about the company or what they do in your community or in your state or whatever. And then, as much as people don't want to do it, write a cover letter that's specific to that company, that tells that company why you think they're a good company and why you're excited to apply for this job. What that does is it effectively spreads your risk over 2 to 3 companies instead of just one. Because if you miss one shot and then you turn around and you're like, there's no jobs. One time. You did it one time. You need to do it multiple times. And you may have to apply way more. You're probably going to have to apply way more. On average, you have to apply 100 times to get one job interview. So working in chunks to do that little bit of research. And it doesn't have to be major, like 30 minutes on the website. If you do this two jobs a day, you can, at the end of a week, you can have 14 jobs. That's good numbers.
Yeah. And I just wanted to be clear about what you're saying, which is not saying to just apply to 2 to 3 companies, but to just break it up into
chunks.
Yeah, into chunks. And exactly what you said. I'm going to apply to 2 jobs a day, or I'm going to apply to 5 jobs a week, whatever it is. And going that way, because your chances are you are going to have to be very persistent, and it is of great value if there is an opportunity on these applications to be specific of why you should get the job. That is your chance to shine. Instead of just doing boilerplate template stuff that everybody else is doing, or that you did for every single other job, take the 20 minutes to be like, this is how I prepared myself for this job. Even if you don't have any quote unquote relevant experience, right? Just tailor what it is that you've done in your life to fit that job description. Yeah.
Which you can do by breaking it up into chunks and doing the research. Because you can say, oh, I noticed that you folks do a lot of work with tutoring. I see that you give back to this tutoring group in our local community. I really like that. I tutored when I was in high school, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. People don't realize that forming that sort of personal connection, especially depending on who's reading your resume. Because if you're validating this HR person's choice that they work for a good company, it makes them also feel good. And they're more inclined, I think, to call you back. Because what you're doing is you're saying, this is a good company, and now this person feels validated in their choices, and they have a good feeling about you instead of a bored one. And I think telling a little bit of a story, and in that cover letter, I'm talking like 1 to 2 paragraphs max, but just tell them the story. Tell them what you did. Tell them why you care about their company. Tell them why you think they're awesome, because that's going to reflect on the person reading your cover letter and resume.
Yeah. And I think that's a perfect place to kind of segue into the last thing, which I kind of touched on earlier, but it's just be persistent. Just apply, keep applying. Yes, be persistent at the same job. Yes, be persistent of applying to different jobs at different companies. Just be persistent and keep applying. As you said, on average, it takes 100 applications to get one job interview. Don't get discouraged. It's very easy. It's very easy to get discouraged, especially nowadays. You just sit at a computer in your underwear and you just keep hitting the same button that you've been pressing for weeks.
It's the worst. It's so boring.
Yeah. And it's the same thing that you've been doing for weeks and weeks and weeks. You don't even have to put pants on and like go and hand your resume in anymore. Right? And so just be persistent, keep applying, come up with a system, come up with a way to, like, you know, if you got to mood adjust, right? If you're feeling down, go outside, go for a walk, and then
see the grass, see
and
the
then
trees.
Get it done. You would think, like, it sounds silly, but it's absolutely crucial. It's absolutely crucial. I think this is a perfect place to wrap up today's episode of how to job search without a college degree. Super simple. Define your goals.
Not easy, but simple.
Super simple. Yeah. Define your goals. Yes, it is as easy as Googling skill, city. Yes, industry, city, state, whatever, country, job, salary, like salary requirements, city, state, remote, whatever. Basically, the broader your goal, the bigger your funnel, or the bigger your net, however you want to think about it, the more options you have. The more options you have, the more you can possibly get hired, right? Being clear about those are very, very the first step. And like I said, where people start to find that they're saying there are no jobs, it's when they start combining all three of those things. I want to learn these skills in this industry with this amount of money. And then it's like, there's no jobs. Like, wait a minute, there's plenty of jobs. You've just eliminated. You've gone too specific.
You cut way too close, way too quick.
Yeah, you got too specific. Maybe if you have experience and you're like a C-suite executive, it's like
different,
right? But you're probably not listening to this podcast, so
we are not your people.
Yeah, so keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
Let us know if there's anything you can tell us how to
do. And then the biggest thing after that is kind of just creating systems, being persistent, creating systems to pick a few companies at a time, applying. It's gonna be arduous. I hope it's not for you. I hope it's not for everybody. But
it's work.
The likelihood of it happening, of where you don't get calls back for a while, is probably pretty high. And because of that, just stick with it. Just stick with it. Be persistent. Come up with systems. Do it in bite-sized chunks. You do two to three a day, 5 a week, 6 a week, whatever your system is. Just come up with it and stick to it. Also tailoring your resume, your application, trying to stand out as much as possible once you get to that point. And so I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you found any of this actionable and now you want some more information or you want it all put together, please check out degreefreenetwork.com. It's got all of our other episodes in video form and transcript form. And most importantly, our guide where you can get all of this in a PDF document that you can download and keep forever.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Until next time, guys. Aloha. Guys. Aloha. Guys. Aloha. Guys. Aloha.